Well, I see that live on Facebook, so I think that we are live. And I want to thank everyone for coming to our second release reading. And I am just so thrilled to introduce you all to July Westhale. July is the author of Trailer Trash and Via Negativa and is the co-founding editor of Pulp magazine. July is reading tonight from her newest chapbook, Bright News of Gladiolas. And what pulled me toward this book was its invention and surprise. July uses line breaks and white space in truly new and interesting ways, and every page just provided me an experience that I'd never had while reading. In Moon, July writes, "Now there's snow on the ocean, which is meant to confuse us and does, though not because we are unprepared for it, but rather because the sight of it reminds us of the static-hearted parts of our bodies as they prostrate themselves." And this poem feels like the heart of the collection. When I first got my hands on this book, I just kept coming back to this poem and I couldn't let go of it. Every page of the collection unsettles, it decenters, it grapples. We are unprepared, we are reminded, we are prostrate. And this collection is for those of us who are trying each day to praise, as July says, the tender world, so we might say we lived. I'm so proud to have worked with July on this collection and to have played a small part in shepherding these words into the world. And along the way, I have learned just what a truly giving and kind person July is. And I'm glad to have met her and so grateful to have worked with her. So please, please welcome July Westhale.
Thank you so much for that really, really generous introduction. Thank you to everyone who is here showing up for poetry on a Thursday night. I've had to ask myself about 5 times what day it is, but that's just the reality of the pandemic. Thank you so much to Allison for her eagle-eyed prowess in helping me with this collection, and also to Small Harbor, which is a new voice in the world and has really fabulous books. I feel so honored to be one of the first pancakes being brought onto this press that truly has quite a bright future ahead of it. So a little bit about this collection, which has a beautiful cover and is pink. This came from messaging a friend, a dear friend who was towards the end of his life, and spending a good deal of time talking to this friend, and then also ruminating on my own about how much I love Oakland and have lived here for 15 years and have written books about everywhere else but not Oakland. So that feels particularly like a particular honor to be reading from this in this moment in time where I've been sitting very, very intentionally and sort of forcibly with the decision of living and place and time. So I'm going to read some poems from this collection. I'm going to read the epigraph that's the epigraph for the whole book, which is from a poem by Linda Gregg called Nothing Happening. Nothing happened in the city today, unless you count the youth on a horse pushing 11 cows across an intersection from the field of rubble and plastic bags to somewhere else. '76 station with a broken pump, for Hayden Carruth. I just took my old hope out of the shop with her singular, dented end situation. And I was open, so to speak, for a crash test. Loving along, the sky, an open body, the road, a hotbed. Myself, alone at a bar, hair high, hope low. Just a little air in the tires, that's all. Prepared for the ruts, the tectonic malaise of boulevards. Too close to home, kiddo. Too close. Might as well pawn this old gal now. Keep the breeze easy, as they say. The space sheltered and calm. The body out of bounds. Myself wiggles like a scared rabbit. But the day is a bright one. The clouds are perfect memes of themselves, and everywhere headlight-eyed pedestrians circumnavigate the potholes like willing clergy of the world and its marvelous catastrophes. In spite of the blowouts, the bad road food, bathrooms with windows that age faces, the filling and emptying and filling again. That's what gas stations are for. That and the lucky yellow numbers spit out and handed off by somebody who couldn't care less. It's still too goddamn close to home. I keep on. A man on 27th and West holds a sign. Anything? I wave and drive. Then I burst into tears. Bright news of gladiolas. Because it was not so yesterday, it bears saying, under the overpass, the blooms of those returning to neoprene thickets, blankets woven like flax fields, a city, a lino cut of the before times, when people could people. The stanza breaks between metropolises, wild, purple-gray, like the underside of a redwood sorrel. Proximity always matters, but we don't remember. A man cuts the line at the express lane, and I am quick to anger, to forget. This is the reason one lives in a city, high population purposefulness. In the spaces between, the bus blurring buildings to dense cliffs, piles of coffee cups like sheep, bright news of gladiolas, orphan tires singing, take me home. And these next two poems come from, I always get idioms wrong and sayings wrong. And I learned two languages at once, so idioms are a particular challenge for me. So here's a poem for the gift horse whom I always shoot in the mouth. I never say never, always say molars, say flat tongue, say measure, note heavy, note hard one, note the vantage point of the desert at sunup, anatomical, metaphorical, say velvet lips, say restless, say point, say boom. And of course I have to give the horse a chance to respond. So this is from the mouth of the gift horse. I swear I was once a colt, eyes to the mirrored sky, fields of me with ropish legs, coming into the feed, the joyful feed, running like bulls at a festival. The only hands on my flank, tall grasses that played paramour, played lead, no weight on my back but the world, which bowed my body, both the arch of my spine and the curtain call. Then the call came, which I heard because I am God. The call and the trucks, the death mask so flies could not eat my eyes. My brother's gone, no chance to wave, farewell, farewell. And I swear the sky heaved a pent-up sob, but that could just be Montana. The rumble took me. I sweat and sweat in my clothes, which smelled of other Mustangs, other gifts. And when at last we chanced upon California, A man took my hood, and the poet opened my mouth and shot me gone. I became very interested in mindfulness practice a number of years ago, and it kind of changed the way that I think about lines and white space and breath. And so this next poem that I'm going to read was the first in what has become many poems that I write with large breaths in between. And it actually looks like this on the page, if you can see that. The title is from a Thundercat song, which is "Nobody Move, there's blood on the floor, and I can't find my heart." I like flowers. So what if I like flowers? They aren't here to like me back. My back to everything. You mess. I resent a calm, cool voice, a reflective surface. So much of it. I am breathing in. Why? I am breathing out. This is not what I co-signed. Why? Gosh, it's everywhere. Stop. Can you put one foot in front of the other? Zip yourself inside the dirt devil, tasks and bills, piece of shit lovers all made equal, a sonic palpation of mere speed and your ear. That's it. Sometimes staying calm means getting inside and imagining a Doppler effect. Everything as detritus, which it is. No one is actually a piece of shit, just shit. Just actual, literal shit, which has no place in a poem about meditation. Throw it to the dirt devil. It too will whiz past your nose, but it won't smell. This is visualization. Use those same feet, one, then the other. The devil keeps on keeping on. He doesn't even have a rear view mirror to throw a glare back. There it is, at last, the clean cotton field, crisp, pulled taut, utterly stainless. And this has a title from a Laura Jensen poem, which is "Roses are red because their ears are burning." Forgiveness is a small price to pay for using a metaphor when the nearest exit may be in the world left behind. Remember urbanity, recitations of roses, embarrassed or not, poetry's broken spine staring at the cracks in the sidewalk as we walked, surely breaking our mothers' backs if we had mothers. Retrospect is a fable, I mean fabulous, origin story, through another's verse, and thank heavens for it, for without, we'd be lost, or worse, we'd misunderstand. And I'm gonna just read two more. This one's called "Nocturne for the Man Who Threw a Brick Through My Front Window Last July." All night, I quietly searched for the idea of stars to find a translation the poet from Patagonia might have wanted. Jacks, or losing at Jacks. The palpable difference in skies between hemispheres. Headlights on rural roads when the deepest night turns its back from loving you. A hangover behind the eyes. The world before the internet. Cream clots before they are swallowed by coffee. And then the thin glass, like uterine lining or a phone call, exploding into millions of them, beaming and resplendent and prismatic. And I'll end with this poem called "Bird's Eye." One could say the pond was waiting. One could say it was a pond at all. We're waiting, water brides in wedges, with our feet going, going, going under us, which you'd not be able to tell from above water. As a careful observer, you'd see a congregation like any grouping of birds together, the way birds are often ominously together on large sea walls, jetties, the communion wafer of telephone wires. What on earth could they be talking about? It's a trick question. Our conversation is never of earth. We're talking about your bald spots, your poorly shingled rooftops. We're talking about, when in water, we're watching to see if you'll break all of the rules of sense and feed us squares of white bread or popcorn. We're watching to see the moment feeding time bonds you to your child. What kind of stand-in parenting our presence, our gobbling at the silvery surface, can give to you. Since the first canonized myth, we are also warily watching, waiting for godlike men to trespass. We beak our feathers to meringue tufts. We emerge from the pond, shake and shake, stretch our wings, pick the dirt and bugs out, rearrange. The barnacle geese look on jealously. There are no myths about barnacle geese. No one comes to feed them to save their marriage. And therein lies the difference. We live to serve. Thank you.
Don't forget that you can buy July's book from our website, smallharborpublishing.com, and make sure you follow us on social media so you don't miss any updates. Please save the date. Anna Leahy's book, What Happened Was, will release on May 7th, and Dustin Brookshire's book, Love Some of You Too, will release on May 14th. And they will have a joint reading on May 20th. And thank you again, July, and thank you all for coming.